All right, all right. Is this thing on? It is on. Welcome back to the Green Logbook. We're streaming on the Green Logbook, streaming on the Military Retirement Podcast. Good to be back on this Wednesday morning. Was able to get up this morning and do a little bit of exercise and feeling great, feeling really good these days. So this topic today is all about taking care of your family, taking care of business when you are leaving the military, even after you've left the military. So we go through a whole lot of stuff as we're exiting the service. There's checklists involved, there's stressors involved, there is potential buying a house and moving to a different state, a different place that maybe you want to try out, or maybe you've never been to, or maybe it's familiar to you, right? But we have so much going on in our life that we sometimes overlook things that should be top of our priority. And for me, one of the top priority things that I really overlooked myself, but then I jumped on it on the back end was life insurance. And so that's what I want to bring up today and the importance of that, especially when you are in service, getting life insurance and potentially out of service too, getting life insurance because you want to be able to protect yourself and your family's future. So with that, I'm bringing on this gentleman, Jamie. He's the executive vice president of American Fidelity Life Insurance. They're one of the sponsors of the show. And I really just wanted to have a real conversation with Jamie about what goes into life insurance, why service members should get this, why veterans, even after you're out of uniform, you should look into life insurance, and why it's one of the best decisions you can make for you and your family. So bringing up to the stage, Mr. Jamie DeBola. Jamie, how are you?
Hey, doing great. Thanks for having me on, Vic.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I feel like I should have worn a suit after. It looks good on you, man. I feel like I should have worn something other than a t-shirt.
Thank you. No, yeah, I was trying to put on my best foot forward, and we're not always this formal around here, but certainly in our line of work, we also want to put our best foot forward. So
absolutely. So, man, life insurance. So, American Fidelity Life Insurance, right? You guys there's a lineage there of military service. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, the company was founded back in 1956, actually by my wife's grandfather, a man named Charles Woodbury. He was a fighter pilot in World War II, a Marine, and survived 7 downed planes in the Pacific Theater. Wasn't able to get life insurance before he left for the war. So no one wanted to insure a fighter pilot and in that line of work. So he came back from the war and started American Fidelity Life Insurance to basically provide the financial protection that he wished he had before he went. So we specialize in providing coverage for active duty and veteran communities, and being there for our service members and their families when maybe other companies feel like it might be a little bit too risky or not something that they want to pursue. But for us, it's sort of a mission that was born through direct experience from Mr. Woodbury, and we've carried that on to today.
Excellent. It's been close to what, 70 years now?
Close to 70 years. And we were founding members of the Service Members Group Life Insurance product that I think most, if not all, service members have. So we've been pretty integral in how do we help protect families through life insurance, which isn't necessarily something that is the most widely kind of understood or known kind of financial option that's out there. And I think a big reason why I'm so excited to be able to join you and the work that you do with the Green Logbook is just to be able to share maybe some of the options that are available that people might not know about that they could use to better protect their families.
Absolutely. So if let's say I'm active duty right now, right? You wouldn't be able to tell because I'd be 30 pounds lighter now, but let's say I'm active duty and, I'm maybe looking at retiring sometime soon, right? I'm about to hit my 20-year mark. When do you think would be like the sweet spot to get life insurance when I'm about to leave the service?
Well, I think that's a great question. And there's nuance to that question. And I think not to like jump ahead or get too technical, but to try and make it really simple. I think there's a big kind of misconception about life insurance is exactly what it is and what it provides. And I think there's kind of two categories. There's, term, and then there's permanent. So
That's right. Yeah.
depending on whether you have a family and what some of your goals are, might determine which one of those makes the most sense for you. I think, if you're looking for something that is just a temporary, can cover you, and I'm happy to dive into each of those further, but if you're just looking for something that's provide a death benefit, should the unexpected happen and you get struck by lightning or something, and make sure that your family can pay its bills and be able to kind of carry on financially, then term might be enough for you. But if you're thinking about something longer term or using it as a more of a financial instrument that can help you while you're also alive, then whole life is most likely going to be a better option for you.
Okay. So term versus whole life. So I had the same thing was going through this whole same thing when I was evaluating different services as well. And whole life, as I understand it, it will pay out a certain amount. Can you take money out of that versus what term life is like?
Yeah. So think about it, or I think one way to think about it is like renting a home versus owning a home. They both provide a dwelling that's protection for your family. But term life is like renting, where it's there for you as long as you're paying your rent every month. And in some instances, that rent can be increased kind of every year, every 5 years, or whatever the case might be. You're not building any equity or value in that home. And a permanent product, something that is going to be with you through your whole life. It doesn't just end for when your lease ends. Is a whole life. Whole life is a good example of that product. Maybe the most widely kind of known permanent product. And that one both provides protection for your family while you're there. There's a death benefit, but also it's building up cash value and equity in the policy that you can use to really do whatever you want with. Think of it. I mean, it's not a bank account, but can be used like one. It's a life insurance product that can be used for anything that you want. You could take loans against it, or draw the money out of it, or pay for, school for children, or buy a house, or whatever the case might be. So it just has a lot more of what we call like living benefits than just purely death coverage. It also provides death coverage, but it has a lot more to it. So I think that's maybe a kind of an easy anecdote to understand, like renting versus owning, and that there's just a lot of advantages to owning.
Yeah, there is. And that's new, because I hadn't thought of it like that before. So I'm glad you kind of put that in perspective. When I was in my younger years, when I was first looking at life insurance, I was looking at my LES, right? And the SGLI that we get. I think it was 400,000 at one point during active duty, and then I went up to 500,000. And then I was thinking, okay, well, how can I match that in a civilian life insurance policy plan, right? And I didn't really look at the pricing until later on. And then I was like, whoa, this is like after I got out, and I'm like, it's significantly higher than when I was in, probably because of the whole disability thing that I had put in, right? I'm sure that they had access to my records and all that stuff too. So how do you talk to somebody who is kind of on the fence, like trying to figure out how much they should spend on life insurance per month? Does it just come down to like a financial decision that they have to make and evaluate their finances, or is there some kind of calculation that goes into that?
Yeah, there's different ways to think about it. I mean, one way is replacement income. So if you were to, let's say, if your family was to lose, assume you had a family and your family was to lose whatever salary or income you were bringing into the family, how would they be able to pay the bills, and for how long? And so you can, a good rule of thumb is maybe to take whatever you bring in annually and multiply that by 7, maybe 10 in some cases, to say, well, I want to be able to provide, I don't want my my family to lose their home or to get in credit card problems or whatever the case. If we didn't have my income, how would my family survive? You could use like a rule of 7 as a good rule of thumb for how much coverage you're ideally looking to get. What makes it a little bit more challenging for service members and veterans is that in your instance is a good example of with a disability rating. A lot of kind of commercial insurers, I don't want to name names, but most of the people that might immediately come to mind aren't going to want to insure someone with a disability, or they're going to charge a lot more for that insurance. And for a service rated disability or any other type of thing that might kind of disqualify them from being in good health. So I think the kind of unique nature of our business for our company and a handful of other companies that are out there that service this market specifically is we understand that, and we can specifically in our in our company's instance, we're able to help someone who has a service related disability and provide them insurance at a market rate as though they didn't have any sort of service connected disability. We're not going to charge anyone through the roof for something, and we can otherwise help them get the coverage that they need that most other companies, 99.9% of the other companies out there, wouldn't be able to offer at all. So to us, that's keeping in line with our mission and providing, that service to our community. But when you think about how much do you want to spend each month, that's where, there's sort of this balancing ratio between, are you more interested in the upper limit of death coverage that you can get, or are you more interested in putting money into kind of what we call your side fund that is building up the cash value, and maybe you can lower the pure death benefit, and more of the money that you're putting in can go into that kind of savings bank account component that's earning a pretty high interest rate. And so there's different ways to think about how just depends on each person and their goals and their family and what they're ultimately looking to accomplish. But there's ways to do it for pretty cheap, and there's ways to put a lot more money in, and both have their pros and cons depending on kind of the unique situation.
Yeah, I can see that, and especially like with the way prices are going up these days. But it's just going to get more expensive, I think, as time goes on. So then I was really looking at like, hey, let me look at going above what the SGLI was providing, which was 500,000, right? And I'm thinking, can my family actually survive off that? But yeah, probably for a few years, right? But if I thought about giving them like a more cushioned lifestyle if I wasn't around and couldn't provide, right? My wife still works, right? So I thought, let's look at that $1 million mark and see, just in case, because I don't know what life is going to bring at them if I'm gone and it's 20 years from now. So you got to look at it that way too. Like what's in store for the future? Are things going to get better or worse? Your area, I mean, it's your state. Is it expensive, not expensive? A lot of factors go into consideration with that.
Well, that's a great way to think about it. I appreciate the kind of your knowledge around this. I think, if I was, and I wasn't trying to be, vague in the answer, but saying that it all depends, but obviously that's where, the financial advisor, someone's able to really kind of customize to it. I think if I'm advising someone and including myself, because I learned about this a little bit later in life than I would have otherwise have liked, but I think the ideal blend for someone is to get a whole life policy as early as they can in life, because the price of that is going to be dependent on your health. And it's kind of two factors. One is what it costs, and two is how long how much it can grow in value over time through the accumulation, compound interest at a guaranteed interest rate. We pay 5% on ours. It's like that those cash values in the policy can grow pretty significantly. So starting that out as early as possible in life to just get a baseline. It doesn't have to be some big policy with a big death benefit, but getting something established. Then in the meat of life, when you get a family or children or college expenses or whatever the case might be, putting on a term policy on top of that to increase that just pure death benefit coverage for 25 to 55 years old or whatever it might be for that period of time where expenses are much higher. By that point in time, the whole life policy will have grown to such a higher cash value that it's exceeding even the term policy that you bought. So now you've got kind of a whole pile of money plus a death benefit that has accumulated over those 20, 30, 40 years, whatever it might be. And you have it there. It can either be drawn down as like an annuity later in life to supplement some retirement income. It could be used as just a death benefit that gets passed along to children or beneficiaries, and it just preserves options down the road. So I think that's sort of the ideal blend of kind of the interplay between the two, and how to your point, if protect your family and maybe also utilize the cash benefit for now and later in life.
Yeah. And I think in doing my research here, the whole life tended to be a little bit more expensive with than the term, but I kind of understand why, because it gives you a lot more flexibility in what you can do with it. And I mean, as you mentioned, the whole life will grow as well. And it's renting versus owning essentially. So I can see why it'd be a couple more dollars more. When I was looking at it first, I was like, let me go with the cheapest one.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, is the cheapest one actually the best one for me and my family? And it's true what you said earlier. Like after I left, I didn't do all this stuff until after I left the military and did all the VA disability stuff. And I applied to a few companies and I got denied. And I'm like, what? Just a few years ago while I was in uniform, when I should have locked this stuff on, I was not getting denied. And then I always put it off on the back burner, like, hey, I'll just check it out later. And then life takes over and you don't actually look at that stuff until after the fact. So that's kind of as I call it, my ass kicker moment. And something I preach to a lot of folks when they ask me, hey, look, what would you do if you could do it all over again? Dude, I would 10 years in, if I knew I was going to make it a career, even if not, I would still get the life insurance for me and my family. It would be a lot less expensive. But, I talk to folks all the time about this stuff, man. It definitely is my ass kicker moment. And I wish I don't have many regrets in life, but that is probably one of them. It'd probably be a lot less expensive. So SGLI right now. So 500,000, I think, is what it is for active duty. Okay. That can be rolled over into something else, into whole life.
Yeah, you've got a couple of options, and
yeah,
and preface this by saying that I'm not a veteran myself, and greatly appreciate your service and all those who have served. I've studied this from the policy and the financial side, and seeing where service members are running into issues, and
sure,
I can't imagine how difficult that whole transition is, and keeping track of timelines and windows and what to do next and all of that. I mean, we see it plenty in terms of just things getting lost in the shuffle. And I think the key here, if I were to just advise from my perspective on some things to be aware of for anyone that's, maybe going to lose their SGLI and wondering what to do, there's sort of two options. There's three options. One is to just drop it all entirely and not think about it again. And that's the worst option, because it gives you no other option, right? You're going to just need to, chances are you're probably never going to be able to get a life insurance product that you feel comfortable paying for and that you can utilize to the extent that you'd like. So I definitely don't recommend doing nothing. One option that we offer is to be able to convert your SGLI into a commercial whole life product without proving insurability. So you might have filed, with the VA for a disability rating and things like that. That doesn't have any bearing on whether or not we can get you into a good product for you. And that window of time is limited to, I believe it's 240 days after you lose SGLI and after you separate. Mm-hmm. Now, you can extend that timeline if you convert your SGLI into VGLI. Now, VGLI, I don't want to poo-poo the product at all, because I think for many people it is a good one, but it is like renting a home where every 5 years they're going to raise the rent on you significantly. Mm-hmm. To the point that later in life you can't afford it. Maybe when you need it the most, it's the most expensive. So the good news is that doing that does provide some options for you. If you would like to convert that into, if maybe you're overwhelmed going through everything that there is to think about during that time of separating, you could at least convert it into VGLI and preserve options for down the road, because we can also convert that VGLI into a commercial whole life product without proving insurability. So regardless of disability rating, if you have VGLI and you look down the road and say, wow, this is going to cost me a lot over the coming 5, 10, 15 years, let me go ahead and start putting that money into something that's going to build some equity along with my death benefit. And you can tackle that at a time that's maybe more appropriate for you, depending on kind of where you're at in life. So
that is good to know. I didn't realize that you could extend that. And yeah, I mean, there's differing opinions on the whole VGLI thing, but I mean, to each their own. You just have to evaluate your own circumstances and see how you want to move forward. So I completely get that. Wanted to ask you, and I'm very curious about this because I've been reading up on this as much as I can, right? Like online. But what are some of the most asked questions when, say, some veteran comes up to you, active duty or even somebody out of the service, when they approach your company and say, hey, I want life insurance? What are some of the most asked questions that you get?
It's typically, there's definitely an education gap in terms of just, and I was guilty of it myself. I mean, I don't blame anybody. It's not a topic you hear a whole lot about, but I think first and foremost is understanding the difference between, like, typically the first question is, how much coverage can I get and what's that going to cost me? And that is one way to think about it, but it's as we kind of talked through today, a kind of a limited way to think about it. Right, that's assuming a term product and that's like renting a home. Maybe have you thought about another way to think about family protection here, or if there's other goals that you might have that this product might be, a whole life product might be better for you. So I think it's a lot of it's going through that education. A lot of people that we get, the lion's share, are people who are maybe have gotten the veteran group life insurance product and are approaching those years where it's just exorbitantly expensive. And the VA posts a chart on this. You can see what it's going to cost you, when you're age 50 or 55, and they're pretty transparent about it. But when people start to hit those 40, 45, 50 years old, and they're seeing their rates just double and kind of going up exponentially, they're calling us and they're saying, I can't afford this anymore. What are my options? And at that point in time, we can still help those people, but they have a lot less time to take advantage of what another option would have been able to do for them in their life. So we see a lot of regret, and we get a lot of people saying, oh, I wish I'd known about this sooner. I wish someone had talked to me when I was younger to be able to make a more informed decision, whether it's the one I'm currently still making, or if I would have just wish I'd known my options earlier to have made a better and more informed decision for me and my family. So we get a lot of regret amongst people who are like 45, 50, 55, and we can still help them, but just maybe not with the full power that we could have before.
Yeah, I can see that. So the earlier, the better. So probably when you first, there's a reason why when you first join the military, they give you like life insurance, SGLI. So that's probably when you first join, it's probably the best time to look at it. Because then, I mean, there's a reason why. I didn't realize that at first. I'm like, okay, well, they gave me life insurance and while I'm in, right? A lot of companies do that. But then once you leave the company, it's like, gone, but how are you going to protect yourself after the fact? You know, what about like stuff like deployments? Like when is it harder to insure somebody? Say you got somebody who's constantly deployed. Is it harder to insure somebody, or how do you guys deal with that?
No, in fact, for some companies, maybe, but not for us. We are quite proud of our history where, during the Vietnam War, we signed up all the boys heading out there, with a policy, knowing full well that, that might not be a decision other companies were making, but that's who we are in our DNA. And we want to make sure anyone that wants to be protected for them and their family can get it. So we have a no war clause. We don't exclude anyone for being able, times of uncertainty or, times of war. We treat it just like any other time. Doesn't matter the line of duty. And we want to make sure that, them and their families have the protection that they need. So it doesn't really have any bearing on us.
Well, that's good to hear, because I mean, a lot of folks have these higher risk MOSs, military occupational specialties, like it could be infantry or EOD. So it's good to know that just because the job you choose doesn't mean that you're going to be paying a lot higher for insurance, for life insurance.
That's right.
What about like spouses and stuff like that? I mean, you guys, like kids and stuff like that, you also do like life insurance for them too, or just the service member?
No, I mean, anyone can, I guess, technically purchase the policy. We just, operate predominantly in this market, but that's a great question. A little known kind of, some people may understand this a little bit better with, there's a family service members group life insurance, so FSLGI. So a spouse could get up to, if you've got $500,000 of SGLI, your spouse might also have $100,000, and that can be converted regardless of medical history into a commercial product as well. So there are opportunities to sort of help spouses in that way, from kind of the government product to maybe something that's a little bit more favorable. But we see a lot of people do, which I think is pretty clever, and is like take out kind of like small policies on children or other family members. So like a lot of people around here who work at our office, and we've got like long tenured staff. I think our longest is 63 years with the company. The next longest is 48. And we're a small company, but we are kind of, very committed to what we do and who we do it for. And they've all taken out, numerous policies on children or grandchildren. And the idea being it's the cash value that's accumulating that is kind of the primary benefit, so that when that child turns 18 or 22 or however they wanted to structure it, now that becomes money that they can use for school or for their own home purchase or for something else. And sure, there's a death benefit as well, but the primary idea was to fund a high growth financial instrument for their loved ones. So we see a lot of spouses kind of take one out, one for them, one for their spouse, maybe one for a child. I have them on my two young children as well, just because, for those very reasons of do something that is going to be really good for them, that they can benefit from later in life. So it doesn't need to cost a whole lot of money, and it can start, at a very young age and give it kind of the full time to kind of compound growth. So I think there's a lot of options there, depending on, I think particularly, actually circling back to something we talked about earlier, where maybe, 55-year-old who's really been feeling the pressure of getting price out of their VGLI, they might say, well, maybe I'm not going to convert this for me, but I'm going to be thinking about this for my children. Tell me more about what you guys have. Let me see if something like this makes sense for my kids. And we see a lot of people end up taking one out on children, and being able to put the money into that for their kids.
You might have to check that out for the kids. So I'm a little fuzzy on how this works, right? So you have a whole life. Let's say you mentioned like you can take it out for school, or is it like borrowing against the life insurance? Like, do you have to pay that back at some point? Like, how's that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. I guess there's two ways that you can do it. I will use a hypothetical.
Mhm.
Let's say you bought a $50,000 life insurance policy, whole life policy, and you've been contributing to that for, X number of years. And so you've got a $50,000 death benefit, but you've also now maybe accumulated, an additional $50,000 of cash value in that policy, where you could take a loan out from it. So you could say, I'm going to, my credit's not that great, but I don't need to go out and ask a bank to give me a credit. I could borrow from my own policy for 4% interest, and pay that back to my policy over time. Or I could say, you know what? I don't want to take a loan. I'm just going to withdraw it. I don't even want to pay it back. I'm not going to worry about paying interest at all. So I've got $50,000 here. I'm going to go ahead and take 5 out right now and use it for this. And then, maybe next year I want to go on a trip. I'm going to take out, 7 and do that with some friends and family or whatever the case might be. So you can use it however you want. It's your money, and you still have a death benefit, but you also have this cash value that you're able to kind of draw from as you need to. And you can choose to either, depending on what you elect, you can call up or just log into the portal. You can navigate what your options are, but it's really up to you. It's your money. You can take a loan out, or you could just withdraw it.
And then when you do withdraw it at the time of, say, like the person's passing, is that when that money gets put back? Like whatever you withdraw?
Yeah, well, because it's two components. So if you withdraw it, it might decrease at the time of passing, the overall, maybe it's not $100,000. Maybe it's shrunk because of the money you withdrew from it. You'll still get the death benefit. And if you loaned and paid it back, you get the full amount. So
okay, that's exactly. Thank you for clearing that up for me. I was just a little fuzzy on that. I'm like, how does that work? I hear people talking about it. I've read about it before. I'm like, how do I borrow against that? Well, of course, like anything, you would have to either pay it back or the end amount goes down a little bit. So that makes complete sense. Good. So let me see here. Anything that I may not have asked you that maybe you want to get out to the veteran community about life insurance, about the importance of it, about maybe what your company's doing. Anything that comes to mind?
I would very much encourage people to spend a little bit of time researching their options. I before getting involved in this line of work, I felt like I was fairly knowledgeable about finance and financial products and kind of how I could, best set myself and my family up for success. And learning about the power of these, particularly like one of the reasons I'm here is because I love the product that we offer and who we offer it for. Not all whole lives are the same. Not all, things are made equal. But what I love about, I can only speak to what we offer, is that it's for me and my family, it's a much better place to put our resources than a bank account that's earning 0.5%, right? When I could put it into something that's earning 5% and providing some death coverage in the event that a tragedy struck. So I think that there's a lot of ways to both protect your family and kind of accumulate wealth for whatever purposes you might have, or provide financial flexibility down the line. And that calling around to a few companies and doing a little bit of research online, just between the difference between a term product and a whole life product, and then trying to find the right one for you, could have a real outsized impact on yours and your family's financial future. And it really took me by surprise. The more I learned about it, the more I thought, why haven't I heard more about this? And I don't think, life insurance isn't I appreciate being able to talk with you about it. It's not like the most fun topic necessarily.
No, but it's not fun, but it's necessary. It's a necessary conversation that folks need to have, and especially leaving the service. Like, it should be at like the top 5 of the checklist. Of course, the military, the branches don't work with any specific life insurance policy after you leave the service, so they're not going to put it on any kind of outbound checklist. But that's why this channel exists, right? To find out information and push it out to the masses. Like, hey, this is not something that I thought about and had on my top list when I was leaving the service. Maybe like learn from my mistakes, my lessons learned. And if you're leaving the service, even after you left the service, this is important. You should probably look into this for you or your family. So no, this is great. And Jamie, before we go, I know that you guys, we talked a little bit about it. You guys have a SkillBridge program. All right. And I know this is something that I've been on Reddit sites, and I've been on Facebook groups with people talking about SkillBridges and asking about them. Hey, what's a good company? Something that's like future proof. And I'm thinking you guys offer something really good here for veterans and spouses. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, thank you. We're proud SkillBridge member program, and our partner for that. We're also part of the military spouse employment program. And the SkillBridge in particular, I think it's such a neat offering. And I think we have probably 7 or 8 people who are either going through it or have gone through it over the last 12 months or so. And I can't speak to necessarily what all the options out there look like. And I know they're probably not all made the same, but we take it really seriously for someone to come in and be able to set up a career path post-military service where you're working for yourself with the support and guidance of, both the home office as well as others out there to help you be successful. Our particular SkillBridge track right now is to help somebody, educate people on the front end with what their options are. So I guess it's technically like a sales role, but it's really just about education and being able to share what some options are. And if someone wants to take advantage of one of those options, being able to help them get set up for them and their family. So it's really just about that, and being able to spread awareness. And but we provide a really great opportunity that we've been excited to see people taking advantage of, service members, or I guess veterans now taking advantage of. And it's ours is 90 days. So we'll kind of put you through training and give you some high level support from both us here at the home office, as well as people who have made careers in this line of work, and make sure that you're set up, whoever's coming through is set up for success. And this has been really rewarding to see. I think I forget the exact statistics. You probably know better than I do, Vic, but just on how many veterans in that like first 6 months haven't landed on the right career path for them.
Oh, and too many. Yeah. Too many.
I think it's staggering. It was something like 60% or something. It was really high. I was reading it a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Maybe that might be off on 60, but it was something very staggering. So
yeah, it is. It's hard because you're used to one way of life, and then you transition into a civilian role where it's a different type of structure. Still structured for the most part, different type of structure, and some folks maybe don't fit in well with those environments, and now they have to look at another job. I mean, I know folks who have gotten out of the service and who have not done SkillBridge, right? And they're probably on their 5th job in a year, 2 years, and they're just trying to figure out where they fit in. I think that's why SkillBridge is a good kind of feeler. Like, it'll get you kind of in the civilian side to see how things work, and also like networking, talking to people, maybe not using so many F-bombs or something like that, like you would in uniform, just kind of hold off a little bit, but it gets you used to a different pace, a different rhythm. So that's why. But there are a lot of veterans out there who go through a lot of lot of different careers right after, or some who can't even find something that they fit in well.
Well, and that's a good point. Not to, continue on this, but like in our line of work with American Fidelity, it's like we just want people to be themselves. Sure, it's a civilian job, but we're working with the military communities. So drop the F-bombs. Like, it's all good. I mean, it's like those are the communities that we're right. We could provide the structure, but it's not changing so drastically the communities that we're interacting with day over day. So maybe there's a sense of familiarity there that I think is helpful for anyone that's kind of separating out.
That's awesome. And you guys are located in Pensacola, yes?
We are. Our home office is in Pensacola, Florida, and but we have kind of more of like a field force, if that's the right word to use, but agents and kind of a whole national, actually kind of global presence. So we're licensed as a carrier, as a life insurance carrier in 48 states as well as abroad, and we have people we work with kind of all spread out throughout the country.
Awesome. Well, Jamie, it was great having you on. If anybody out there, anybody in the comments, I know we have a good amount of folks watching here. amfilife.com is the site, and actually I'll pull it up here so you all can see what I'm looking at here. And I like the timeline that you guys have on this site. So you got life insurance for our heroes, and then what is it? Who we are, and there's a whole timeline on here, and I really like that. And is this your grandfather here?
This is my wife's grandfather. Yep.
Oh, okay. Your wife's grand. Okay, gotcha. So yeah, I mean, it tells you all about it, Mr. Woodbury. So awesome stuff. Good lineage. If you want to read more about it, it's on amfilife.com, American Fidelity Life Insurance. Great stuff. Happy to have connected with you guys. Awesome, Jamie. I'm glad you can come on and talk to me a little bit about this. Talk to everybody a little about this, because I was in the dark on how this all worked, and I'm glad you were able to kind of dissect that a little bit for us.
My pleasure. I really appreciate being on. And if anyone does have more questions, we're a simple phone call or an email away, and all our contact information is on the site. And we're not here to sell anyone anything. We're just trying to help people make the best decisions for them. So we're always happy to have those conversations and provide some guidance or advice wherever we can.
Absolutely. Well, Jamie, it was great talking to you, and I will email you and Amy after this. But with that, man, I truly appreciate you sharing some good information on life insurance. The one thing that I wish I did earlier in my career, but it is what it is. We live and you learn.
Yeah, that's right. I know. Yeah. Sounds great, Vic. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate all the work you're doing.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, man. Have a good day.
Thanks. You too.
So, ladies and gents, that was Jamie DeBole. He is the Executive Vice President of American Fidelity Life Insurance. And just like I mentioned many times before, it's something that I wish that I would have done earlier in my career. Happy that I got it done finally, but, could it have been a little bit less expensive if I would have done it earlier? Yeah. While I was still active duty. Yeah. And the ass kicker is that I would look at it, and I would look through the prices and stuff, like through several different companies. And I'm like, man, I'll leave it for tomorrow. And never happened until like after I did my VA disability. It's like, damn, I shouldn't have waited. So good stuff. I see a lot of folks in the comments. Let me see. Brother Jim, welcome to the Green Logbook. Good to have you. We're also streaming on the Military Retirement Podcast. So if anybody is watching from there, welcome to the Green Logbook by way of the Military Retirement Podcast. And question for you in the comments: what is one thing that you wish that you had done while you were in service that maybe is your own ass kicker? Like, man, I don't have many regrets, but if I could do this over again, I would do this. Curious what that is. Let me see here. And as always, real quick, I will share this link. If anybody wants to jump on the live stream and talk a little bit about what they should have done a little bit better, or what they wish they would have done a little bit better, please share here. Here is the link to Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I see you guys jumping at it. Link to the live stream. There you go. Link to the live stream. Jump on if you'd like. If not, it's okay to lurk in the background. Let me see who we got here. Jason Miyamoto. Welcome, Jason Miyamoto. I got hypertension, overweight, messed up back, OSA. I'm sure that they would not accept me in mid-50s. Well, I mean, you don't know if you don't ask, my man. So get a hold of AMFI Life Insurance and ask them. 66T Love. Welcome. Good afternoon, TGLB family. That sticks with me, TGLB family. Like and subscribe. Absolutely. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Who we got? Oliver. Let me see. Oliver Rust, my man. Welcome. Howdy, folks. Howdy yourself, man. How's everything going? Ramping up for the Philippines there? Let me see here. OT. Welcome, OT. OTILC. 4947. If I recall correctly, that is your name backwards, isn't it? Cleto? I can't recall, but correct me if I'm wrong. Let me see. Got here. Oh, we got somebody on the line here. Mr. Ben, how you doing?
Wonderful, wonderful. This
Welcome
is
to
a
the Green
great
Logbook.
channel. This is an awesome channel.
Well,
Thank you for all your work.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. So where you are you gosh, what is your name on YouTube? I think we've talked before.
Something peace and love or something like that. I don't even know. Peace and healing. I got the Marine logo.
Okay.
I don't know. I've been on there. I've commented.
Gotcha.
And yeah, I like the whole. It took me like 20 years or something, but I started to put my story out there a little bit, different people's stuff online. And what I realized, if I'll tell somebody at a park, like I'm at a park right now, if I'll tell a random guy at the park on the park bench, why not put it on the internet? What's the difference?
Yeah, right. And so you have a YouTube channel then, like you actually post videos.
Well, I kind of tried. I dabbled in it for about 5 seconds, and I kind of gave up. I wrote a book that's in need of editing. It's kind of up on the internet, but it was I spent 7 months in Iraq with the Marines in 2006, so 20 years ago, and it's all kind of an effort to try to make myself feel better, heal myself a little bit, and help others. And it's kind of just an art form. I see all of this and writing and all that and art and all, it's all just it's like a form of expression. That's all it is. You're never going to get it right. It's a work in progress, and that's all these channels are. I saw somebody the other day on your channel. They were talking about when they were I think in the 80s, and they're moving to I think the Philippines and Thailand.
Oh, yeah. And
Oliver Rust. Yeah, and again, it's we're all just trying to bring each other up, just like we did all those years. Hopefully, right? That was what you were hopefully doing in the Marines. And what we were all doing was trying to when things went well. That was what we were doing, right? If you think back, I only had a 4-year career. I know you had a lot more than 4 years, but when things went well was when we supported each other and we worked together. That was when things went well. So it's the same kind of thing nowadays, and that's all I kind of try to do, and that's it. So
well, no, I agree with that. When we need it the most, we need to come together the most. So what is something that maybe you could have done better, you wish you would have done better during your time in that now you're kind of like looking back, oh man, I wish I would have done this instead of that? It could be anything. Or maybe you live with no regrets.
I maybe would have picked it. Yeah, I did for a long time. Yes, I did. I had a lot of regrets, and with time and with a lot of thought and with a lot of talking to people about it, I was able to understand that the regrets, I don't have a time machine. So whatever happened, whether you want to say it was God or whatever you want to say, or that worked out, that was the situation. So the regrets, what can I do about those now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, for example, maybe I would have went, for example, well, you couldn't have picked 06, you would have had to pick 0600 maybe, but maybe there was a way to specifically get like a forward observer.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like thought that was a great MOS. I was an 1142 generator mechanic. But again, so maybe that's a regret, like, but how the heck would I have known? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And even the whole generator mechanic, I worked at a hospital for part of the time in Iraq. That was why I worked at that hospital, trauma hospital on TQ. If you remember Camp Al-Taqaddum.
Okay. Yeah. I was there at TQ myself. Yeah.
So there was like a tent hospital on the main side that they later knocked down, and they made it into like more of a permanent kind of structure. And that was why I was there. It was because they needed somebody to run the power. You know what I mean? So like it's very hard to say, well, if I would have done this or I would have done that, you could, how could I possibly, know how it would have turned out? I basically did what most people did, was took whatever cards were handed to me, and I kind of just went with it. And that was what a lot of when I wrote this book. And like I said, it's still on Amazon, but it's kind of unreadable because it's so unedited. But it was really just me trying to get it off my chest. Things I experienced at the hospital and off the base in Iraq it's hard to articulate it. It's hard to explain it to people, even as somebody that was there, with me. It's very difficult to explain it, but that's what I try to do with that, is just kind of bring it into the world. That's what art is. Art is like a practice. It's like being a doctor. It's like the practice of it. So,
and it's, you say it's unreadable, but I think it's authentic and raw because it came from you, the real you, and not some editing platform or an editor, right? So it may have spelling mistakes, punctuation mistakes, but that is the real you that you put out there. What's the name of the book?
Well, it was interesting. The name of the book is Intrusive Thoughts. Intrusive Thoughts. And it's my full name is Benjamin, and my last name is Kroker. Intrusive Thoughts by Benjamin Kroker. If you type that in, it will pop up. Like I said, it goes through the AI. I wrote in the beginning, I say right there, I said I did not use AI. What you just said about it's me. So AI I used for the images. I have images of as best I could of what it would look like when somebody were to attack a group of Marines with a mortar tube, and then the response to that from the Marines. So I did different images. I did some images with AI of the hospital, but the book itself I did not use AI. I tried, and it like you said, it really takes away your voice. And when I'm doing art, it'd be like if you were to make a painting about your most something to you, your family or your career, whatever it is. Why would you want to amazing? At least for me, I wasn't comfortable doing it for the actual written part of the book.
Yeah, it has to come from the heart, man. It really does. And I'm the same way, because I also do art myself. I do a lot of writing, and the world is getting, or at least platforms online are losing authenticity, and a lot of it is gaining AI words, right? Hey, write me something for LinkedIn, write me something for YouTube. And, if you need something quick, it's a quick source for it. But if you want something real and authentic, that's not what you want to use. So somebody using it for like a memoir, a biography, an autobiography, that probably don't use AI. So I appreciate that I'm going to look at it here. I appreciate that you took the time out to actually put the real you in a book, man. That's great. And especially if it's like about TQ, because I know that they would take some mortar fire out there. And I recall that. I remember that. I was on duty there when it happened, at the chow hall, the big white chow hall, the steel beams that they put on after the fact because it was getting real.
So I didn't really write about that in terms of TQ. Like, there definitely was mortar fire at TQ, for sure. It was more because I personally, you know how that works. It's all just, kind of wrong place, wrong time. But personally, I never experienced it on TQ itself, off of at close distance of the impacts.
Okay.
Off of TQ, I did, unfortunately, kind of, and at very close distances that they were exploding. And I tried to put it into words what that experience is like, but what my goal was, and I guess I didn't accomplish it yet, was that it would just be, I could get it done, and then I could just not forget it, but in terms of the written work. But I'm not there yet, obviously. But
so have you ever thought about there's I don't know where where are you located?
I'm in Florida.
Florida, okay. So I know Florida very well myself. They have here I'm in California, right? So they have the Veteran Arts Project, or Vet Art, and they oftentimes, if you're into arts, if you're into doing something like that, like the visual arts, you can connect with these folks. They, even if you're part of their organization, could send you out to different places to display your art, or to display your visual art, whatever your style is. So potentially, there's also things like the Armed Services Arts Partnership. Like, I'm an instructor with that organization on visual art, and I'll be doing I call it an art because it's not easy, but like YouTube and podcasting. I mean, anybody can talk into a microphone, but to have engagement, to have stories, essentially you're a storyteller, right? That's an art in itself that I'm still trying to get into as well. But Armed Services Art Partnership, they're nationwide. They're nationwide. So that's something maybe you want to go get into as well, because it is completely free for veterans, completely free. They have them across the country.
Yeah, I think that channels, I get totally what you're saying about the whole storytelling, interviewing, whatever you want to call it, in YouTube form or whatever platform, is amazing. There's a lot of channels that do it, and I think it's really great. Even my grandfather, who's been passed away now for, I don't know, 10 years or more, he was a World War II vet, and, he used to obviously tell me the story, driving around, and stuff. But in terms of putting it in written form, it was just something that he typed up, and, it kind of got lost. So it's just, like I said, it's all, I don't think there's a perfect solution to any of this, because we're not all going to be, Carl Marlantes, if you read any of his stuff, the Vietnam vet, Matterhorn. You ever read Matterhorn?
I've not read his stuff.
That's an unbelievable. It'll take you like a month to read the book, but stuff like that, or all the famous books. But we're not, that's really rare. And AI has not been able, in my opinion, to do that. But like you said, there's all these other ways to do it, and yeah, that would be a dream if I was to. Now, being a good interviewer, I found this out the hard way, because I tried to interview somebody. First, he interviewed me on his channel, and then I tried to interview him, somebody I was in Iraq with. It's not easy to be a good interviewer. That is a definite you could teach that as a skill in and of itself.
It is tough, especially to keep the conversation going. It's taking me quite some time to get to anywhere near that level, right? Because I do have like things like ADHD and things like that. So it's hard for me to stay on topic, because then I see a squirrel outside and I'm like, okay, let me come back to center. What the hell was I just talking about? You might see me do that on like Sundays when I'm with my co-host John, where it's like, hey, I can't have background noise. I need to not hear anything else. That's why I wear the little headphone thing, or else I cannot focus. So yes, interviewing is a skill, one that can be refined. Absolutely. I'm looking up your book right now, man.
Yeah, so that's all I kind of look at it is. Once I realized that it was all just kind of art, and art is always going to be. And also, the other thing with art, I did do a veteran art program. It was called Creative Vets. You ever heard of this one? Creative Vets, based out of Nashville, Tennessee.
Creative Vets. No,
so they, I got into them. Somebody told me about it, and I was in the queue and all that. And then they sent out maybe 6 months later, a year later, a couple of years later, they sent out one of those VA, the weekly emails we get from the VA about all different VA news or whatever. So they got linked up with the VA and they put it in that. And then they got like 1,000 applications or something, but I was already in the queue. So I got to do one of their 3-week art program. And that was all long story short to say, because you were talking about different available for veterans. Eye of the beholder. There's a certain amount of skill to it and craft and maybe guidelines. There are, but at a certain level, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. And it's not easy to take, because we had a group of maybe 6 veterans. We were all taking certain traumatic experiences or whatever that we experienced in the military, all different branches, and trying to put it into artwork that we then had at like a little show for like the public to come kind of. And, it's not, good luck. Good luck. Even if you have 3 weeks, good luck, trying to do that. So, you basically just kind of, and I worked at it, believe me, I worked at it, but it wasn't, when I look back at photos of it now, I'm like, really? Like, okay, so.
Yeah, no, I mean, but you got to try it out. So real quick, I'm going to bring up your book. I think this one is it. Benjamin Kroger, right? I think I got you here.
Benjamin, and my last name is Kroker.
Is this the one?
That's me. Yep, that's my book. Yep,
that's the book right there. Intrusive Thoughts. So awesome. I'm gonna check that one out. A true story about the war, or the Iraq War. That's awesome, man.
And listen, I got it up for $5 now. If you want me to lower it to, if you think, shoot, I don't know how you would do it, but my email, Gmail, just tell me, shoot it, put it down to $2.50 or $2.
No, dude, don't worry about it. I mean, because this goes to you, right? So this was a part of your. This was a part of your. Yeah, this was a part of your story. I wouldn't ask you to lower the price for that. Come on now.
It was literally not at all meant to be commercially or financially in any way. It was all just meant to try to articulate it, communicate it, right? Comms. We know comms. How do you communicate it to the world? And it's a work in progress. Believe me, it's a work in progress. It's very rough around the edges. I did not have any professional editing, but it's a way of how do I take what I experienced, working at that trauma hospital at TQ, 2006, when there was a lot of activity there, working off the base, like you said, a mortar hit on the chow hall. Well, we are off the base, and we that would basically pull up in a car, get out of the car, mortar. The mortars would go off, and then we would see our machine gunners, people we knew from our platoon. We know the guys. We worked with them all day, and they would kill the person. And we saw the whole thing. We saw the aftermath. How do I put that? You know, you go to the VA, you talk to, you know, the social worker. They're gonna. I mean, it's not bad. It's helped me, but it's just. I hear you. That's, you know, but to put it into written form, at least for me, and it looks like, because I typed in recently, you know, Iraq war books or whatever into like Kindle or something, into that same, you know, search engine there, and there was a lot that looked like they were doing the same thing I'm trying to do. So.
Well, you know what? I like what you mentioned there. It wasn't meant to be like a public thing. It was meant to, you know, kind of share your story. You know, maybe not to the public, but you know, it reminds me of, you know, Marcus Aurelius, you know, the old Roman emperor. His meditations, his meditations were not meant to be public. That was his private journal, right? And after a while, it got handed down, and then it was published after a while because somebody saw the meaning behind it. Yours may not, you may not have meant it to be published, but it's good that you're getting your thoughts and your ideas and your perspective out there, similar to what this guy Marcus Aurelius did. So, sir, you're like the modern day Marcus Aurelius. Then you're publishing something that you made for yourself.
I'm trying. You know what? I'm trying. I'm trying, and that's all. I think that's all. I think that, you know, we lost some guys. We lost a fairly large number in Iraq, but then we've lost a fairly large number after Iraq to self-inflicted, of course. And you know, a lot of these guys, you know, I would talk to them, and they just get so hung up on like perfection, and it has to be this, it has to be that. You know, just like, you know, you look like you stay in shape. What's the whole thing of staying in shape? Don't worry about perfection. Just do it. Just go out and do it. And it doesn't, you know, whatever it is, just do it. And that's what I think it is with, you know, so to say, recovery, whatever that means, lifelong recovery from the stuff we experienced, is just stop trying to hit perfection. Just take it day by day, try your best, and see what comes now.
I like that. Stop. I'm writing this down, man. Stop trying to hit perfection.
This is what I told them. I literally said these exact words. I had people that they would tell me, well, and what I went through, because I was on the 50 cal and you were here, and da, 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 da. I'm like, dude, you're splitting hairs. You're splitting, just stop all that. How about I can we're human? How about we're both human?
I find that it's hard to,
I mean,
to get away from perfection, especially coming from a structured mindset, a structured military mindset. It's hard to get away from like the perfection. Now, when you are in a combat situation, right, where, you know, you may need to get as close to perfection as possible based on your training, but as anything else in life, you know, use the 80% rule. You know, 80% is normally good enough to get by, because then a lot of times we're harping on, and we have it in our minds, man, I could have done this better. Well, it is what it is. You got it done nonetheless.
You got it done. And the other thing is and this is the same, it's just different words maybe to explain it, but it's very similar, is the control. You remember the control. When I was, for example, at the hospital, the control, the perfection was I had to have that generator running. And if it shut down, there was, you know, they were not going to be happy because the surgeries couldn't happen. Right. The perfection was they also had me doing the security. So searching people, making sure nobody was bringing in anything that was going to harm the medical staff, guarding detainees. There needed to be, as much as possible, perfection, right? We couldn't make any mistakes, right? Or off the base, if the machine gunner doesn't, you know, hit the mortarman, it's gonna die potentially, right? Because they're gonna keep getting mortars off, and they're gonna blow up, and people. So, you know, and there's that control. Like you can take action. You could do things that doesn't, what I've tried to learn over many years, you know, a daily basis is that doesn't exist anymore. That doesn't exist anymore. I don't have that level of control anymore. That's a lot of that goes to her and goes to, you know, and those days are done. I can't go red, you know, except in incredibly rare situations. I got to be able to understand, you know, like you said with ADHD, I think the other thing that a lot of us have is we're men, and men want to be in control. We think we want to be in control of everything, and we put everything on, and we got to try to just, here's what I could dictate. And, you know, maybe mental peace is something that I should be striving for, you know, as much as possible. So that just little bits and pieces that I've kind of picked up, you know, over the years. Because I can remember when I first got out and everything hit you because you're not in the unit anymore. You know, I came out of 1st LAR, so I'm in this infantry unit. I hadn't deployed with them, but I went with 9th ESB out of Oki. But, you know, these guys, they had been to a lot of combat deployments. So everybody's got PTSD. Everybody's, you know, you're in this bubble and you can't, it's like you don't notice, it doesn't hit you. At least for me, it didn't hit me until when I got out and I'm by myself and I'm not around people like that anymore. And then I'm like, okay. And then you got to learn, okay, how do I adapt to this new environment, to this new headspace that I'm in? You know, that's kind of how, yeah, and I guess some people do it really well, it seems like. I don't know. But
yeah, it's a matter of finding new structure, man. I really find that is something that worked for me. Finding new routines, new structure, because living in that mindset of, man, I miss it, man, you know, I got to get back or whatever it is. I'm like, that doesn't work. You know, I chose. A lot of people don't choose to leave the military. Some folks, like, they got to get out due to like either medical, high tenure, or, you know, whatever, some kind of administrative separation or whatever. For me, it just worked out. I chose to get out. So it's like, you know, I can't really kick myself in the ass too much. But it's just a different pace. I just had to figure that part out for me and for my family. It worked out well in the end, and it's still a work in progress, as I think it will be for many years, since I drank the Kool-Aid, man. I'll put it like that. I drank the Marine Corps Kool-Aid. I was very structured in my lifestyle, and then it's like, okay, well, maybe I need to tone it back a little bit. You know, let the hair grow out a little bit, take some time to breathe a little bit, because I'm not in uniform anymore. I can't let things like, you know, what's going on overseas affect my life in every which way whatsoever. So just got to breathe a little bit, man.
yeah, I mean, it was funny because I spent 5 days at June, you know, at the hotel, and I got, and I'm just kind of going around the base, you know, I'm at the gym, I'm whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm just watching these guys, and I'm like, you know, it just keeps going.
Yeah. The green
18,
machine
19
will continue working.
They're out doing it. It continues working, and it's and you know, it's whatever brought you in to begin with. That's kind of, you know, a lot of times that still holds true. You know, you went in a lot of times. You went in for the experience. You know, you wanted to be. Yeah, somebody else could have done it. You know, yeah, but you know, it's. Yeah, you're just a cog in a wheel, but you got to do it. You can only be in one place at a time. And I don't know, like just look at it that, like, that's how I kind of look at it. And yeah, I tried a lot of that stuff. Like you said, with the regrets, you started out by saying, what are the regrets? Yeah, it's kind of like regrets, but it's like after the fact, how can I redo that one? You know, it's kind of tough to do. You know, you can still talk about it, but kind of tough to do. I mean, at one point, I don't know if I'm still like this as much. I was one of these guys. I did everything was like, take advantage of it right now. This could be your last day, you know.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and people were like, wow, man, like you're really, and then I just kind of like, just relax. Like, you know,
yeah.
cool your jets.
You can always revisit it tomorrow or next week, right? It's kind of like the salesman, right? Like, hey, get it now before it ends. The sale ends tomorrow. It's like, well, then I'll just get it some other time. You know, at some point in time, it's going to happen again. You know, why not? So, and man,
Yeah.
I truly thank you for coming on, dude, and sharing a little bit of your story. I know this gentleman here, Oliver Rust, also mentioned that he's going to get your book. So look out for some sales coming down range your way.
Reach out. I gotta put. You know what I gotta do? I gotta put my email when I get back to my computer. I'm gonna stick my email in there because I don't know if it is a contact. And then maybe people always contact and say, hey, I'll edit it for you. Maybe they'll tell me they'll edit it for me. Because you can take the book
it would be worth
down.
Get with an editor, man. If that's really you really want to do, get with an editor and see
Yeah,
if they'll
it's
edit
just,
it for
you know,
you.
they kind of, it's tedious, man. It's tedious. I was with one for like a minute, and a professional editor, not over, no, you know, Baltimore, Maryland, real deal person, and you know, really a pro, but not easy. You know, she's gonna go line by. It's gonna be like grade school. She's gonna go line by line by line. The problem is they're not gonna work on like content really. They're not gonna work on like your like ghostwriting or if so. I kind of just all they're doing, most of them, is just what they call copy editing, which is your grammar, your punctuation, your spelling. They're not working on whatever. Work in progress. I'm gonna put my email in there so people could, you know, contact me and stuff like that if they want to. And
Absolutely. I look forward
that's
to
it.
it.
I appreciate your channel. You're good. You've got a good interview style. I'll say that. Yeah.
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. That was my man, Ben, author of Intrusive Thoughts. You can get it on Amazon. Awesome stuff. And let me actually pull it up on the stage here real quick. Intrusive Thoughts, a short story about the Iraq War. Good stuff, man. Good dude, too. Good dude. Happy to have folks like that call in and, you know, share a little bit about their time, in uniform, what they got going on today. And he had a good message, right? You know, like my message was when I first started today's live stream was, what is one of my top priorities? What is one of my biggest regrets when leaving the service? You know, I retired 2 years ago, and one of my biggest, you know, kicks in the behind was not getting life insurance in time. You know, I thought, you know, I'd always research the thing. I'm like, damn, it was cost effective when I was in uniform, and then after I got out of uniform, it was like, damn, you know, it went up. The prices went up. I should have got it while, you know, I was in uniform a little bit earlier before I did my VA disability. But, you know, hindsight is always 20/20, as they say. I can't take it back. Time is finite. Time will continue moving forward. So what can I do now? Better time, no better time than now to go get it. So that's what I did. And, you know, truly appreciate what Ben is doing out there. Put out his book, Intrusive Thoughts, on. It's not, he mentioned it's not a pretty thing, you know, it's like, it's got errors, punctuation errors, but it is the authentic, real him. The authentic, real him. So I let that be a message. Don't wait. If you want to start a YouTube channel, if you want to start a podcast, if you want to write a book, you know, it's research new jobs, maybe jump on and get your college degree. What better time than now? What better time? Tomorrow is not promised. What better time than now? So thank you, Ben, for expanding my mind and talking the arts, talking about writing with me for a bit, man. I truly appreciate it because I am a big art type person myself. And Mo perspective, you said it right. Time waits for no one. It is there was a question that I encountered at one point in time. It was like, hey, it was regarding Warren Buffett. It was regarding Warren Buffett. It was, gosh, I forgot how the question went, but it was something to the effect of, do you want Warren Buffett's life? So Warren Buffett's like in his 90s, right? Do you want his life? You could either have more time and have less money, or you can be Warren Buffett kind of at the end of his life almost, looking close to it and be a billionaire, so like how much time do you want? How much money do you want? Me personally, I would want that time. I don't need to be a billionaire. I don't need to be a millionaire or whatever. I would want that time with my family to do stuff like this on YouTube, to go and travel, see the world, have experiences. I'd rather have the time. Now, I know that you can't do that without money. Thankfully, there's jobs available. You can go work, make some money, and then take a trip, do something. So I would rather have my life and not Warren Buffett's right now. So good stuff. Let me see here. Let me share the link again. Lot of good conversation. It started this morning with Mr. Jamie DeBole, the Executive Vice President of American Fidelity Life Insurance, one of our show sponsors here. Wanted to have him on to talk a little bit about life insurance and the importance of it. Then it jumped over to Ben, the author, the artist, my man. Link to the live stream. And I'd like to hear a little bit more from you all. Keep the conversation going. If you want to jump on the live stream and talk a little bit about what maybe you wish you would have done a little bit better or different while you were in service, or maybe even yesterday, feel free to jump on. Let's see what we got going on here. I've been doing a lot of reading on a few topics, and specifically kind of you've been revisiting, if I don't know if you ever watched or ever read Marcus Aurelius meditations and things like that. I have it up here somewhere. I'm a big fan of like Stoicism and things like that. I think a lot about that, and how that relates to religion and stuff like that. And I came across this book while I was at the bookstore. It's called How to Think Like a Roman Emperor. And it really talks about the life of Marcus Aurelius and things that maybe we don't know about, how he would hang out with many commoners, right? He was an emperor when he was younger, emperor in the making, and he would hang out with a lot of commoners, hang out with people on the street and listen to, folks like Epictetus, things like that, or people like that. So actually, I don't know if they were alive during the same time. I think they were. I think Marcus might have been young, very young during his time. But let me see, going to the comments really quick. Love yourself, BJ4SI. Saludos, Vic. Saludos back. Sir, thank you for your military service. God bless you and your family. Master Sergeant USMC retired, Semper Fidelis. Hey, thank you very much. Love yourself. Truly appreciate it, man. Semper Fi. Miguel Cisneros. You recommend life insurance while in? Oh, 100%, dude. Miguel, 100% I recommend it. Something that I kick myself in the ass about all the time. Well, not so much anymore now that I have life insurance, but the amount of dollars that, it goes up significantly after you get out. So, of course, as you get older, it'll go up as well. Let me see. So we have your average logical thinker in the backstage, and I think Oliver's next up. So Oliver, I'll bring you up right after here, man. I see you though.
What up,
ma'am? How we doing?
Good. How are you?
Life is good. I woke up this morning. Feel good about that.
Right. I ain't gonna be on here long since we got somebody else in the queue.
No worries. Go ahead.
But great live so far. I'm definitely gonna pick up Ben's intrusive thoughts for sure.
Awesome.
And since we're in the sharing mood, I was wondering if you could put my books up here real quick. And
let's do it. Why not? Share the love. What you got? Let me see. Let me pull it up. Is it on Amazon or where can I find it?
Amazon and Barnes and Noble. So if you go to Amazon and type in Mo Geeston, MO space, and then my last name, GUESTON. My fairy tales should come up. They're
Is it a related Hansel and Gretel? Is that what I'm looking at?
one of them.
Okay. I like that. Hold on a second. Let me pull it up here. I got the, I clicked on the author. So it's got all your stuff up on here. Let's, oh, hold on. Let me pull it up. You would think I would be better with the shared screen stuff already, but yeah, there we go. Goldilocks and Three Bears. Okay. Classic fairy tale with a spin. I'm curious about the spin now.
Yeah. So you have to read the book to see what happens at the end. But
No, oh heck yeah. All right. So we got that one. Oh, awesome. So you did the same thing I did. So if you have Kindle Limited, you know, you're already paying for Kindle Limited, so it's free or $2.99 to buy. Awesome.
yeah. And they're at
Relatable read.
the lowest I could sell it for. At this point, when I first got on Amazon and published these books, I was charging, I think, 12, then I went up to 15, and then I went to 9. And when I first was getting my residuals from Kindle, it was, I think I would get like $2.50 per book, but now with inflation and everything else going up, I think I get maybe $1.25 per book. But honestly, I just want to get the book out there. So I don't care. I've given away so many of them. I've been able to sell a couple in bulk, but that's what I'm working on. My dream is to do a whole series of fairy tales with the spin and then collect it and make it a volume book and then sell it that way. And then start creating, you know, original, you know, content. But it was a start. It was one of my dreams when I first retired, was to publish a children's book for my son. And so that's what we got. But honestly, you know, graphic artists, that's what costs the most.
Yeah. You know, I was just going to ask you that because I also have, I guess, the skeleton of a book. Like it's kind of a children's book, right? And I was also wondering, like, hey, I know where to get an artist from, and there's a lot of places you can get one from. But did you know this artist already, or did you go out and seek somebody?
I went out and sought somebody. I went on Fiverr.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Good.
Fiverr and Upwork for logos and things like that, and then I found a person. Amy Tan, who was really professional, really great, to do my illustrations. And yeah, it costs between $1,000 and $1,500, depending on how big the book is. So figuring out a lot of back work, you know, it was very trying and tough, but I figured it out with practice and was able to, you know, get it just right so that it can be, you know, for print. So it's on hard copy, soft copy, and as you see in Kindle. Yeah,
that's great. That's great. I always love seeing folks who are creative like that, who can come out with something like that. Now it's on Barnes and Noble as well. Does that mean that I can go pick it up at Barnes and Noble too?
I wish it was in the stores. It's not. It's only online.
Now I will say that I've read it somewhere because I thought the same thing. Like, how can I get my book on Barnes and Noble shelves? If you are with Barnes and Noble, I've seen people who approach, because a lot of them are like kind of franchises, who approach the Barnes and Noble themselves and talk to the management there, and they can get your book on the shelf, potentially even do like a book signing at the Barnes and Noble. So that would be cool if you can do that. And you got to post some photos up if you do a book signing like that.
Yeah, I thought about doing the showcase. I think I started the process, but never followed through. Here in Virginia, it's a little different. Not as easy. I even went to some of the libraries to try to do a showcase and was turned down. So I think I got just a little discouraged from that. But I'm not going to stop. I'm going to continue to try. But I did want to share one of the things that you were speaking about as far as like being in the military and things that you wish you had done sooner or that you wish you had done before you got out. And one of the things that I wished I had done was started saving money in my TSP right away. If
Good one.
I would have came out with so much more money. And so I didn't really start saving into my TSP aggressively until I became pregnant. Because it's like once you know that you're responsible for somebody else, it's like sometimes this responsibility kicks in. And
Yes.
so at my 12-year mark is when I got going. But I wish, and I even remember during tech school, our commander, whenever he'd give his briefing on Fridays, they get a little safety briefing, guys, take care
Yeah.
of that. And he would always bring up the I bonds. That back then in 2001 too, the I bonds was this big thing. So he would always talk about bonds and TSP and things like that. And that stuff went one ear and out the other. I wanted to drink, party, buy clothes, do all the dumb stuff, But
Yeah.
there's one thing that I could say I wish I'd done was that save aggressively in the beginning. Because I know plenty of people that did that, and they're sitting on close to $1 million, after they separated or retired because they were, smart about it. So
Yeah, that is huge. And something it took me a while because I didn't know what I didn't know, right? So probably about my 10-year mark, that's when I started being more aggressive on all that. And then my wife being former Air Force, she and now federal employee, she's also like maxing stuff out. So I'm like, hey,
yes.
we can live off of my retirement and disability stuff. We're good with that. Everything else, put it all in TSP and let it ride,
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
where we are right now.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I agree. I agree. You don't know what you don't know when you're young. And I remember payday, go to the ATM, then hit up the nightclub or the bar or something like that and take all that money out, or half of it at least. I'm like, oh, okay, well, looking at my bank statement, I got half in there. I'm good.
Yeah.
And then the rest went to somebody else, right? Essentially, I'm taking my money and paying somebody else, giving it away somewhere else. So
Absolutely.
yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah. But, like you said, better late than never. Even with life insurance, I literally just heard a story about a woman whose husband died with no life insurance. And get this, what do you think his job was when he died? He did this job for like 30 years.
Oh, I have no idea. Was he military? I have no idea. No.
He sold life insurance, Vic.
And he got nothing. Oh my gosh.
Because of the rates. He never got insurance for himself because of the rates. He had insurance
That's rough.
for her, but he didn't get it for himself, and he died before her.
That's rough. That those stories like that they're hard to hear. And like sometimes I listen to like the Dave Ramsey show, things like that, these financial shows where they interview folks and people call in and they're like, oh, I'm 65. I got no savings. What do I do now? And they take them through all their finances and all that. And they're like, hey, unfortunately, you got to go get a job somewhere. And, you got to work until you're, I don't know, your 80s. I mean, I don't know how old, but you can't stop working.
Nope. I don't ever want to like that.
No, hell no. I mean, if I ever get to that, I'm moving to I'm doing what Oliver Rust is doing and moving to the Philippines or something.
Where the cost of living is a little lower. Absolutely.
Yes. Things are outrageous here.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I sometimes I look at people and I'm just like, how are they surviving? Because I'm so grateful for my retirement. I'm so grateful for my disability. And even though I don't get anything back on my taxes anymore, I'm still grateful that I have a stable income, and I just thank the Most High because at my 12-year mark, I wanted to get out. I was like, I'm done. I want to get out. This is boring. It's not challenging anymore. What am I doing? Yeah. And then fortunately, but not the way I want. I became pregnant. And then I thought to myself, well, damn, who's going to pay for the birth if I get out? So I said, I'm just going to stay in. And
that's a good way. Yep.
That I stayed
good way to think about it.
Tired with the kid because, oh my gosh,
Yeah. It put things in perspective for me as well. Cause I was also thinking about getting out. And this is like I was a young sergeant at the time and my daughter was having some kind of like medical thing going. And we took her to the hospital. It was like a specific children's hospital. And she was in there for almost a week. Then I
Whoa.
got a bill. I got a bill from the hospital. This was including ambulance and everything for $28,000. And, me not being up to speed on what, I was young, right? I was like, oh, I don't know how TRICARE works exactly. I knew I had it. I got that bill in the mail and I sat down and I put my head in my hands and I'm like, oh my God, $28,000 is a lot of money, especially for a young guy with a family, and I'm like, how am I going to make this work? And I'm going to have to find out about a payment plan and this and that. And I told my leadership about it. And these fools are like, oh yeah, just send it to TRICARE.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean? Like, oh yeah, TRICARE takes care of all that stuff. And it was like a weight lifted off my shoulder, but it was a scary time for that one day because it was like on a Saturday or Sunday.
Like, what am I gonna
Scary time.
Okay.
Mo, I'm telling you, I'm
Tell
like,
my body to go strip or something like that on the side.
I'm telling you, I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to. OnlyFans didn't exist back then, but I'm like, I'm gonna have to open up an OnlyFans. I'm gonna have to like, show my feet online or something. No, it was a scary time. It was a scary time. So I'm grateful that we have that, like TRICARE and all that.
TRICARE. They're amazing. Like I had to go. The ambulance had to come to my house. It was a couple months when I had my bulging disc and I couldn't move. And so my friend called the ambulance and that ride, I got a bill about a month later that was like $540. And the hospital they took me to is literally like 3 miles from my house. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of money. What am I, and then I just buried it. I'm one of those people sometimes if what's going on, I just ignore it and act like it don't exist, right? So anyways, a couple later, I got a letter from the VA. They took the VA said, VA's taking care of this bill. This is not a bill. This is to let you know. And I didn't even submit it to the VA. They just, they got it and they took care of it. And I'm like, Lord, you are just constantly protecting.
That's excellent.
And
excellent.
Yeah,
it's a scary thing too. I think you got to call the VA for an ambulance ride. Got to call the VA within 72 hours, or you got to inform them. Mm-hmm. But man, I was like, at that point, take an Uber to the hospital.
Be better off doing that.
Yeah.
$5 down the street. What?
Yeah. That I was at the grocery store not too long ago, and this is probably a couple months back, and there was this gentleman outside the grocery store with this young girl. And I was like, hey, he didn't look right. He looked like he had some kind of medical issues or something, and he was like slowly getting down to one knee. I'm like, hey, sir, are you okay? And the girl was like, very smart girl. She's like, oh, this is my dad. He's not well. And I'm always kind of like, got my guard up a little bit. I'm like, oh, what if this dude kind of pulls something out, I'm like, hey, so I get to one side. I'm like, hey, you all right, man? And he's like, oh, I need some water. So I'm like, all right, whatever. There was like a little water dispenser thing there. I was like, hey, take some water here. And he's like, I just need to get home. And I'm like, where do you live? And the girl's like, little girl, she was probably like 10 years old. She's like, oh, we live at these apartments down the street there. And I'm like, so how'd you guys get here? Like, where's your car? They're like, oh no, we walked here. It was like a mile away. And I'm like, so how do you expect to get back? Just walk back? So end of the story, I got this guy an Uber, right? And he had like a walker and shit like that. And I got him an Uber back. I just called an Uber for him. But when the Uber driver did not realize that he was going to be picking up somebody who had like all these medical issues and shit. So I'm telling the Uber driver, I was like, hey man, my bad. I should have put it in the notes or something like that. It's not for me. It's for this gentleman here. You may have to help him out of the car. You may have to help him upstairs if he lives upstairs. I don't know. I'll give you a tip, man. Just take care of this man. So he's like, oh man, I got it. So I was like, I didn't want to put that on the Uber driver, but I did. Yeah, you may have to take him to the hospital, bro. I don't know.
Like this mother.
Right?
Or, and that's the thing. I love that you shared that story because at the end of the day, we're alive and we have a lot of things that other people don't. And so one of my And one of the things that I pray in the morning is, God, help me to be a blessing to somebody other than myself. Give me the
Yes.
opportunity to do something for somebody else. And, sometimes that's the best way to come out of your depression, your sadness, is really just having gratitude, and literally doing something for somebody else can do so much for lifting your own spirit.
Yeah. Oh, it
Oh,
makes you feel better.
it makes you feel
100%.
better. It makes you feel useful. It makes you feel like you got purpose sometimes. And
Yes.
so if
Yes,
you
it does.
good day, just do something for somebody else. I know it sounds weird and strange, but it really works.
It does.
It
It
really.
does. Yeah.
So I'm just grateful. I'm in pain today, but I'm alive. You know what I'm saying? I'm alive.
Hmm.
Oh, one thing I wanted to share with you, that 1905, man, I was going to town. I got on that 1905. My counselor sent it to me. I was adding all kind of stuff. I'm like, yo, I need some memory for my computer. I need this. So I sent her pictures of how I'm at this many gigabytes and this left. I was like, I got to be able to finish these classes. So I added all that in. I took pictures, screenshots.
Hmm.
So far, they've sent me a standing desk. Don't know how I'm going to put it together, but me and my son, we're going to figure it out. Space in my room. So standing desk. It's got the plug so you can plug your stuff in.
Yeah.
And then they ordered me a chair. So I sent her a $900 chair. She was like, "Can you find something cheaper that does the same thing?" I'm like, "All right, I ain't gonna be greedy. Let me go
Man,
find something."
you know what? It's coming out of their own paycheck. Come
Thank
on, man.
you.
Like,
Because I told her, I
come
said,
on.
the budget then, and then I can find something within that. But she was like, "No, just find something else." So I found something for $199 that's got lumbar support on it. So she ordered that. So that one's coming. So I'm just really grateful, for the opportunities. You guys just take advantage of everything that Vic is saying. Just try it out and just see, and if you've been denied VRNE, keep doing it. Vic, I know it took you a couple times. It took me 3 times. Sometimes it really just depends on the person that
Yeah.
you're talking to. If that one person seemed like they don't want to help, that's okay. Give it a week, call back. You're gonna get somebody else, and that person
Hmm.
will be more inclined to help you. So just don't give up. That's really the key. And even with like me, and I finally got my 100%. I don't share this with a lot of people, but I've already told Vic I'm 100%. I just got a check back for over 4,000 because my what you call it, not property, but my real estate taxes. I'm like, hey, listen, I was deemed this. Y'all supposed to help me out. Sent it in. They was like, oh yeah, we approved you last October. I was like, what? I said, I get a letter. She was like, do you want me to send you a letter? Yes, so I can send it to my mortgage company. She
Yeah.
said, how
Back
about
pay.
email it to me? Emailed it to me. I sent it to my mortgage company. 3 weeks later, I get a check back. And now my mortgage is down $300 a month. So I'm just like,
Oh, yeah.
you gotta just stay on top of these things. Take the initiative. Don't give up. Keep trying. Get your 100% if you deserve it of it. If you really got ailments and things like that, like Vic, we always talk about having integrity. Integrity is key. Integrity is key. The universe is not going to bless you with what you need if you're trying to scam the government, if you're trying to get,
Right. Right.
or if you're over exaggerating stuff that really ain't there. Because I promise you what, you over exaggerate some stuff, you get that, you're going to start to have them ailments for real, for real. So just have integrity, do what's right, but also get what's owed to you. A lot of us put our bodies through so much stress mentally, emotionally, physically.
Yes.
And so if you're having an ailment, don't be too ashamed to claim it, because the government owes you, I think. You know what I'm saying? I think if you deploy, you should be getting 100% automatic, but that's not really how it works. But if you got stuff, put it down. And that was my problem. I didn't put down, I was putting down things that was happening in the moment rather than
Hmm.
come and go. And somebody was like, no, you need to put down anything you've ever been seen for, put it down, because I still have these issues like migraines. I don't have it often, but I still get them every so often.
Yeah.
Put it down. I started putting down everything that I can think of that I had been seen for that is still affecting me and my quality of life. I put it down and I advocated for myself. And that's what you have to do. You have to advocate for yourself. And you advocate for yourself, it'll happen. Just stay consistent.
Yeah, because it's not going to get better over time, I don't think, unless it's like stretching or something like that. I don't think many things that we encounter are going to get better over time.
Mm-mm.
So
It really
yeah,
isn't.
write it down.
But
Yeah.
gotta do your best. You gotta try, you know.
That's it. That's it. No, nobody else is going to do it for you except for you. So advocate for yourself, like you mentioned. Good message to have. Good message.
Absolutely. All right. Well, you guys take care. God bless. Semper
All right,
Fi.
Mo.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Simplify.
All right.
All right, Mo.
Bye.
That was your average logical thinker. Check her out on YouTube. She's got a YouTube channel, goes live every so often, puts out some good stuff. Let me see here. Jason Miyamoto, and be broke by the 5th of the month and broke by the 20th. Yeah. Especially when you get paid as a young Marine or a young soldier, sailor, airman. Oliver Rust, my man. Thank you, sir, for your patience. How you doing, my man?
Love it here. Good entertainment, info.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad it's working out. So, how's everything working for you today, man?
Well, I finished my taxes last night. Had to get an extension. But you know.
Yeah. You owe me both, man. You owe me both.
It's kind of like bleeding from a self-inflicted wound. And the thing is, I'm single now.
There you go.
So I've been procrastinating, which is something I'm usually not used to doing. But you know how Marines are. They push the panic button and things just happen. They just happen.
Yeah, that's right. No, I completely get it, man. Yeah, the taxes thing, and I had to help my own kid with her taxes too, because she's like, Dad, I'm in the middle of everything, and she's like, Dad, I promised my wife I'd make dinner, right? Because she was at work and all that. She was coming home late and all that, so I'm like, hey, I'll take care of dinner. Meanwhile, I'm taking care of everything else, homework help, and my kid wants to do her taxes, so I'm like, all right, let's try it out. Let's do everything all at one time, but we'll get it done, right? We adapt and overcome.
Been there too many times, but hey, it's kind of like life,
Mm-hmm.
When I'm 58, but when I was 22, I was a superhero. I used to tuck my cape in the back of my camis. I was a superhero, and I would take my money, like you were talking about the money man the other day, life insurance, and I lived paycheck to paycheck.
I think a lot of us did. I remember doing that myself.
I was at the bar, and it'd be gone, and I'd be going to the chow hall. Thank God,
Yeah, thank goodness for the chow hall.
Yeah, because I was broke.
I think we all were. A lot of us hit that same time frame, like that same idea, where you're young, you're out of the house, probably for the first time in a long time. You got a lot of friends, a lot of influence around you at the barracks or wherever you live. And then like, hey, let's go out. And it becomes a routine every Friday, Saturday, and let's go out. It could maybe even during the week, if you're going to go to the E-Club and within walking distance of the barracks. And it's like, man, then you're living paycheck to paycheck. And then you start getting that into that routine, and it's hard to get out of that sometimes.
The thing is, I didn't personally, I didn't really grow up. I mean, because I loved the Marine Corps. Like that was my life.
Yeah.
I was married to the Marine Corps. But I didn't really grow up until I got married and I started having kids. Everything changed. You have kids, everything changes. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, 100%.
Your life will change.
I believe that, man. And when I had my kid, I was in Iwakuni, and I think the slower lifestyle of being in Japan on a small base, and I think just being around other families and being able to explore that whole other culture together, kind of put things in perspective. Like, family is number one. It's no longer just me.
That's no longer
just me and my wife. Family's number one now.
Yeah, you can't. Like I said, I'll say it once again. When I had kids, I just kind of grew up,
Yeah.
you know, and things were different. It's like I was listening to, I can't remember his name. I'm going to get his book. I wrote it down.
Oh, was it Ben?
Yeah, Ben. That's it.
Ben.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know,
Intrusive Thoughts, his book.
yeah. And I was thinking, you know, I remember this old adage.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, if I listen, I have the advantage. If I speak, others have it.
Yeah.
Which is
I
true.
like that. It is. Give me a second here. Let me adjust this setting here. There we go. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of what we should do is listen a little bit more. I agree with that. When folks talk too much, it's just air. You know. Like when I'm at
Oh,
work, when I go
Lord.
to work, and like the folks who are just constantly talking and bickering and all that, I'm like, look, man, I'm just kind of sitting back. I'm kind of like the quiet dude, right? Like the kind of like the stoic guy, the quiet guy in the back. I'm just watching, and I'm thinking like, when's this dude gonna be quiet? All right, we got it, dude. Just move on, whatever. Yeah, I'm not about that, man. Talk too much. I understand what you mean.
It's like the old man that used to sit, my grandpa used to sit on the porch and he didn't say anything. He would just roll a cigarette,
Mhm.
real quiet type, you know? That was like his peace, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
And anyway, that's why I don't hang out at bars anymore. I don't do none of that stuff. Those days, I've already been there, done that, you know, got
So
the
what
hat.
what is your peace now? What does that look like for you?
Solitude. I really like solitude. But I always remember like quotes that have been stuck in my mind when
Mhm.
they capture me. It's like Confucius said one time. He says, if I hear, I forget. If I see, I remember. If I do, I understand.
Mhm.
And I just remember certain things that they just stick with me. You know, you just kind of, God, I wish I was 25 again with my mind. I swear to God.
Well, we
I
can't be
am.
25 again, but you can be. You said 58. You're 58 now.
I'm 58.
Yeah, you can continue being 58, but
No, and my birthday is on Cinco de Mayo, and I'll be 57 in May.
all
I'm
right.
going backwards. I'm going
I was
backwards.
going to say you're going backwards now.
Yeah.
So you may be 25 again sometime soon.
I don't know if I'll live that long, but God willing.
So what 25, right? So time. Is that one thing that you I think you've already mentioned that you would like that time back potentially. What is something that maybe you wish you could do better from the past?
Well, as far as being in the military, I regret nothing.
Mhm.
I regret nothing about that. I loved it. I married it, and that's just that. But my way of thinking about things now, it's like, you know, I ain't seen a young boy push a mower in 25 years. I used to make money mowing lawns, before I went in the Corps.
Yeah.
But they just don't, Gen Z or whatever. It's
Why
like,
do you think that is?
did I tell you my next door neighbor, the last
Uh-huh.
place in Jersey, when I was in Jersey, the last place I was at, my
Mhm.
next door neighbor was that guy that survived Black Hawk Down.
Really?
Chief Warrant Officer. Yeah, Chief Warrant Officer Michael Durant or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He was very aloof with me. I don't know why. Tried to make friends. He'd be cordial, but he just didn't talk. I'd say, hey, how you doing? Y'all doing all right? And he would say, yeah, okay. And he would just get into his POV and go to work, and he just wouldn't engage. But when my son came over, I would barbecue on the weekend because I had, that visitation on the weekends, typical divorce thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he would come out of the back of his house and he would talk to my son. He goes, you doing all right, little man? And I'm sitting there washing something in the sink and I'm listening. They would have conversation. He would talk to my son like they were buddies.
Yeah.
But he just wouldn't engage with me. He had issues. I don't even know if he's alive now. I think he was the chief CW04 when he got out, but I don't know.
Did your son ever tell you about those conversations? Like what they might have talked about?
Yeah, he said that's my friend. He was little then. Now my son's a Navy pilot now.
Mm-hmm.
Time flies, I guess. But I just couldn't believe it that he would just never engage in conversation with me. And I was pretty nice. But boy, he would talk to my son. He'd lean over the fence. How you doing, little man? But that story must be true. There's some truth in that Black Hawk Down story because he was different.
Yeah.
At least with me.
Yeah. There's I think there's a certain level of engagement that even like many vets that I've encountered have or don't want to have. I tend to be the same way myself. I like the idea of solitude, but yet I need to be around people who I understand and who understands me. Right? I have a very small circle of people around me. And I don't engage with people. I can tell you who my neighbors are up and down the street, but I don't talk to them often, which is kind of a weird thing because, you would think that you would want to be near or close to your neighbors, but that's not always the case. Maybe I like my solitude more than I thought I did. So yeah, who knows? I mean, I'm sure that gentleman had a lot going on in his life as well.
And I'm like you. I got apparently I'm guessing, but I got a small circle of friends, but we have a tendency to gravitate to our own kind. That's just human nature.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Newsbomb down the street, I'll say hi to her and be nice, but I'm not going to hang out and bake cookies with her. That's just not happening.
Right.
Even though she's the sweetest lady on the planet, we have a tendency to gravitate to our own kind. And I got a small circle of friends, One of my former boss, he called me on the phone. I don't know if I told you this before, but I'm going to tell you real quick. I'm going to tell all your audience too.
Yeah.
He calls me on the phone. He was my boss. He was my mentor and he was my friend. He was a gunnery sergeant. And when I was like a corporal, maybe. Anyway, it grew into a really good friendship. He calls me on the phone about 3 weeks ago. He goes, I'm fixing to punch out. Like, what do you mean? He says, I'll see you on the other side. And he died on the phone with me. On the phone. And I heard the priest in the background. I was like, oh my Lord Almighty. These things happen, but it puts things in perspective. 2 days later after that, my buddy who lives in Delaware, I don't know why, he calls me and goes, yeah, my 15-year-old son just put a gun in his mouth and blew his head off. I found him in the basement. Well, I'm having a good week now. You know?
Yeah, that's stuff like it's unfortunate, man. I mean, you never know what somebody's going through.
You
And
don't.
I mean, we see it all the time, and they could have the best attitude, but inside, behind their eyes, there's no telling what's happening. I think that's why a lot of what works for vets for me is communication with and a smaller network. I don't like to be around a lot of
Agreed.
people. I don't like to be
Agreed.
around crowds. That's just me. I just don't like the noise. Where the hell were we this week? We were at a breakfast place for my birthday this past week, and it was really loud. And I'm like, okay, I don't like all the loud noises, the clanging, and all that. So I ate quick just so I can get out of there. But yeah, you don't know what people are going through. You know, anybody who could look at me at the breakfast place wouldn't know that I didn't want to be there. You know, only my wife knows. I mean, we had already ordered, and then a large group of people came in. They started making all this noise. I mean, I'm not going to get up and be like, "Hey, shut up," you know, just keep it down. I'm going to compose myself as a normal person in societal culture, and conduct myself as such. So I didn't get loud or anything like that.
I agree with you. I'll tell you that when I first retired, half my kids, because I got 6 kids, and 3 of them were really young. I was down in Texas, and I swear to sweet 8-pound baby Jesus, my ex tells me we're going to go to Chuck E. Cheese. Have you ever been to Chuck E. Cheese?
Unfortunately, yes, I have.
You want to talk about noise and mayhem?
Oh,
and little plastic spider rings on kids' fingers running around. I couldn't take it because I'm a smoker. I go outside and I'm just going to smoke. I'm like, that one visit, done. So I'm like you. I don't like the noise. And when the big shopping malls started closing down in America, I was happy because I didn't like that either. But maybe people do.
Yeah.
Amazon's a great gift for me. We're good friends.
Yeah, don't have to go out and buy anything. Everything's delivered at the door.
That's it.
Now potentially when you move to the Philippines, you won't have to go to the bars either.
I'll never go to the bars over there. I've already been there. I already went to the bars. I was 20 years old or 22.
Yeah.
No, I don't think my girlfriend will let me do it. My girlfriend's a kung fu instructor. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and go play.
I'll be here when you get back. Be safe.
I'll be here when you get back.
I'll tell you what, buddy, man. I'm sorry to hear about your friend and then your friend's son, man. That's unfortunate.
Unfortunately, the older you get, it just starts happening.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't. You know, it's similar to your story. I had a friend who did that, as well. But his going away message was he actually published it on YouTube, and
wow,
and kind of blaming the VA for a lot of stuff, and I saw that, but I saw it too late. He maybe posted it on a weekend, that I saw it like on a Wednesday when it was sent to me. And I'm like, whoa, hold on a second. I always wondered how this guy was doing. He was my boss when I was a young Lance Corporal, a young E3, right? He was my sergeant, and we kind of grew up like that. And and then I saw his message on YouTube, and I'm like, oh, no way. And then that same week, man. But you never know. I mean, he always looked like he had it together. but you never know what's happening in somebody's life. So,
You know, I didn't mean to sound like a Debbie Downer here, but it just popped into my mind, and I
no,
figured
it's fine. It's fine.
I'd share. I do like
No,
the
it's
idea
great.
of
It's a great raw conversation. I mean, things that actually happen. It's I appreciate you mentioning it. Actually,
I do think I like the idea of you doing like mini C stories or whatever, the quips and quotes, and you could collect them, and it could be culminated to you. Unfortunately, I think you would have to dictate how that whole project would go, but I think it would be amazing.
yeah, and I think I have an idea of how it would go. Years ago, I took part in something like that, and I can't even remember the name of the book, but it was like quotes or something like that, like short stories or something. So I have an idea of how I would do that, but it would have to be like real, authentic, raw stories. I wouldn't want to change a lot from it. The curse words would have to be in there. I would just leave things as is with
Yeah.
minor editing. But I have an idea of how it could go, and it's on my to-do list. I have way too many things on my to-do list that I would want to get done before it's time to go. But it's definitely up there. Definitely up there.
I got a friend, a Marine buddy of mine. He's retired down next to Austin, Texas, and he worked for like public affairs or whatever. He would do their whatever. He's a Remington Raider, as he used to say back in the day. But I would tell him and his wife stories, and they would just bust out laughing. And they're like, "You got to write a book. What's the title?" I said, "You can't make this shit up. That's the name of the title. You can't make this shit up." Of course, that wouldn't fly. But he was just trying to collect all these stories, write them down. And I'm like, I ain't going to do it. Everybody's got a story. Everybody's got a story in the military. There ain't one of us that does not have a story, bad or good or funny. There's a lot of fun times too.
There are a lot of fun times. I can write a couple of short stories on just my first year at Camp Pendleton. So it's good memories. I
wanted to tell you, my brother, he retired as a lieutenant colonel out of Camp Pendleton, and he's about 6 years younger than me. But we served at Lejeune together, right next to each other. But he loved, and he got kicked out too, out of the Marine Corps. But he didn't have a family. So he started doing fire jumping, in the Pacific Northwest or whatever.
Yeah.
Fighting fires out of helicopters or whatever the hell they do. And then he gets back in. And he retired. And he marries this lady, and they got 3 boys, and they're like in their 20s now. But they love Camp Pendleton. They love California. I tried to stay away from it, but they loved it. Marine Corps sent me there like 4 or 5 times, but the one time I went to Mount MF because I was in the grunts, and I had radios on my back, so I had all my gear,
nice.
And that was not fun. That wasn't recruit training. It was not fun. So I don't have a really good.
Is that the Reaper? Are you talking about the Reaper? Are you talking about the Reaper? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's been a minute. People. I couldn't tell my next door neighbor that. They would never get it. Never. They would never understand. It's like
if I can find this. Go ahead. Keep talking. I'm listening.
No, I'm talking too much. Just like you said you don't like. I'm talking too much.
No. It's all good. I'm I'm looking for this photo. It had me thinking about it. For my buddy's retirement, he retired as a Chief Warrant Officer 4. He was a
Wow.
former drill instructor, right? He did it was like 29 years. Former drill instructor, and he was like, yeah, he wanted to here, let me save this here. He wanted to do the Reaper as his going away thing. So he had all of us going up there doing the Reaper. And I'm looking for the
Really?
damn picture. Yeah, I'm looking for the damn picture here. Let me see. I know I uploaded it here at one point. This shit is funny. Everybody was like, "Are you kidding me?" He's like, "Dude, that's what I want to do. That's
There's,
what I want to
you
do."
know, Marines are insane. They're insane.
Let me see. I'm pulling it up here. Oh no, I thought I had it, man. Yeah, I'll find it. I'll put it up here and I'll tag you on it. So it's
That's totally
yeah,
believable, though.
yeah.
It's
So
totally
yeah,
believable.
it's see. Give me a second here. I'm flipping through all these freaking pictures, man. Deployment pictures and promotions. Oh gosh, stupid pictures I would take at work. Of course, the way it's on my phone too, and here it goes. Here it goes. Yeah. So this is one of them. So this was me. I don't know if you remember that part there in Camp Pendleton, but that was me, and we weren't wearing any packs, like big packs, or anything, just water sources. But
Right.
that's me
Well,
right
like
there.
Camelbacks or something.
Yeah, Camelbacks, right? He wanted to keep it nice and light, but yeah, that's me right there, and then all these some vehicle in the back, and I guess I'm just bringing up the rear there. So
That's
the rear with the
actually
deer.
like that's something for posterity, right there.
Yeah.
Something you can take into perpetuity.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was a fun time. And then you all at the end, when you start hitting those hills, we all ran and attacked the hill, and run back up and down all the hills back there. But Pendleton's, there's no shortage of mountains and hills in the back of Pendleton.
Oh my goodness! I was so glad to stay in North Carolina. I cashed in chips. I said, I'll take the humidity. I'll do it.
I'll tell you, we used to do PT, and I was in Horno, Camp Horno, for some of my time as a young Marine, and we went running one time, and I was not the fastest runner, right? I could run, but not the fastest. And we had this kind of tall dude, the one who put his video up on YouTube that I told you about. He went running ahead of us, like he was fast. And then he comes running back, and we were going up this mountainside, and he ran back down with a quickness. And I saw his face, and I'm like, "What's going on, dog?" And he's like, "Go back, go back." And I'm like, "What's going on?" He's like, "There's a mountain lion up there." I'm like, "Oh, hell no." So we turned around and just ran back down. I mean, we're pretty high up there in the back of Horno, but
wow.
I'm like, yeah, there ain't no way. I didn't see the mountain lion, but he ran back. You could tell. So
Well,
you can tell there was something he was scared of.
That critter doesn't play,
No, hell no. There's a crazy video online of a hiker who was being approached by a mountain lion. The mountain lion kept trying to approach him and freaking, like, I guess he was pounding the floor, and the guy was like, get back, yelling at the mountain lion. The mountain lion thought he was being attacked or something. So kind of a scary situation. And he was all by himself.
That's even worse.
Yeah.
That's why I pack heat and go out to the woods. I'm sorry, but that's just the way I roll.
Yeah, I mean, shit. If it's your life or a mountain lions, what are you going to do? Yeah,
Hey,
of course.
you don't anywhere. You don't go camping with just plasticware and a picnic basket.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
you gotta be able
You got to
to.
have the just in case. You got to have the
That's right.
Doc Holliday thing, just in
Doc
case.
Holiday. You're gonna be a huckleberry. That's it.
Which is probably my best Western ever, next to Unforgiven. I get.
Oh yeah, good stuff. Good stuff, man. Let me see here. What are I'm looking at some of these comments here real quick.
Oh Lord, they're going to
Low
yell at me.
Perspective says deepest condolences. I think it's because of your friend and your friend's son. So deepest condolences. Jason Miyamoto, you Marines all gathered, eat crayons. That's it. We sit around in a circle, just eat crayons. That's it.
You know, I got to tell you one more thing about that
Yeah.
quote or whatever.
The crayons.
So, 'cause you know, I wound up in the Army to finish out. I did 16, 17, and then I did another 10 years in the Army anyway, because I had to have a job. And I didn't know that the Army collects Marine jokes. But they would say stuff all the time. And I'm like, and I heard the crayon joke, and I'm like, what is up with this? What is wrong with you people? And there was just some sergeant first class or something. He goes, you know why we joke with you Marines all the time? I go, no, I don't. Because we don't even think about you people. You know, I don't remember ever making up jokes about the Army other than, you know, you are what you are. And he says, the reason we make those jokes up about Marines is because we're jealous.
Hmm.
And I never forgot that. But it
What
just
are they?
put
What are they
everything
jealous of? Like the camaraderie or something, or what are they jealous of?
I don't know. He just said it and walked away. One of those things. It's because we're jealous of the Marines.
Hmm.
Okay, I can live with that, I guess, in an obscure way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's. I've got family members in the Army. I've got like I mentioned before, my wife was in the Air Force. You know, I've got family in the Navy. You know, a far off cousin in the Coast Guard. So when we do get together, it's always, we never really talk about that. Like, oh, they give me crap about it, right? It's dumb because when we do get together at family parties, they do
It
these
goes
stupid
away.
things like what's that?
It goes away.
Well, yeah, it
You
goes
know.
away, but they do this dumb thing where they call me sir. They're like, ah, yes, sir. Yeah. I'm like, hey, we're first off, we're family. Stop doing that crap. But it's like, oh, is that an order, sir? And like they give me shit because I was, a sir. But
I
that
call my
I
brother
find that
sir.
funny. Yeah,
Yeah, I call him sir.
I
How
find
you
it
doing,
funny.
sir? He goes, are you doing that because of my rank, or are you doing it because I'm getting old? I said, figure it out.
Yeah. I have a good friend of mine who calls me sir, and he's in the Navy. He's a Navy chief, and this guy's still, hey, sir. I'm like, hey, dude. I mean, just call me Vic, dude. He's like, all right, Vic. But the next
Is
time I
he?
see him, hey, sir.
He's a Navy chief.
Yeah.
Does he got this? This is the coffee cup hook.
The coffee cup
chief
thing.
has a shop.
I might have that myself.
We got.
I might have that myself because I'm always walking around with them.
I'm working on it because the good thing is I'm ambidextrous. It doesn't lock in, so I switch hands.
Yeah,
but
and it took me. I used to keep one of these in the office, but then I would always get used to just drinking out of travel mugs. So that was like my thing, just travel mugs everywhere I went, because I always had to have coffee somewhere. And it didn't help that the exchange, the Marine Corps exchange, used to have this thing where they would sell you it was a forever mug. I don't know if you remember that. It was a plastic coffee mug that gave you free refills for life as long as you had that coffee mug. Nowadays they sell it and it's 50-cent refills, but they used to sell one that was forever refills. So
I don't recall it. I'll be
no,
honest, I don't recall it.
it was at the little mini marts, right? At the 7-day stores. And they stopped selling it for a while because they were losing money. But it was like $100 or something like that, or $50.
That.
Yeah.
You got Marines going in there.
Dude, all
Was
day.
it forever?
Yeah. And half the time I'd go, like I would take I'd have a little coffee mug or a coffee maker in the office, right? But when I was out and about, I'd stop by the 7-day store, I'd get my coffee and it would be like 50 cents. And I'd go to the register and the ladies already knew me. They were like, "Sir, just go. You're good." I'm like, "All right, I'm going to remember that. Thank you for that though." So sometimes I'd leave the 50 cents there and other times they're like, "Just go. It's just coffee. Go." I'm like, "Hey, good to go. I got it."
Yeah,
it
that's
was
like I
50 cents now.
told you, beer, tobacco, and coffee. That's my go-to food group.
That's the diet, the Oliver Russ diet.
That's it. Actually, Oliver Russ, I got to be honest with you, it's not really my real name.
Really? I think you told me before, but I kind of guessed it.
Yeah, the girl, I bought a phone about 10 years ago, and the girl's like, "I'll hook it up for you and get it all started." And she goes, "What's your name?" And I swear I looked up at the fluorescent lights and I said, "My name is Oliver Rust." And it stuck with me. It's my email. I can't get away from it. It's in my phone. It's just there.
It's your alias,
all the
man. It's your
time.
alias.
That's all right. I got a
What if I told you?
VPN. So
What if I told you my real name isn't Vic? What if I told you that?
I would believe you because
Okay.
my real name is not Oliver Rust. But anybody here can call me that. You can call me whatever you want.
My real name is Vic, by the way. It's Don.
Mine.
I used to introduce myself as Don Rickles, and people are like, they're like, "Who?" I'm like, "Don." "Oh, my name's Don Rickles." And like, "Hey, Mr." And somebody like at Starbucks, "Mr. Rickles, coffee for Rickles."
Wow.
Just make shit up. Make shit up.
Jarheads. Telling you.
So yeah, that's it. Tony Slaughter, welcome to the Green Logbook, man.
Well, I'm glad you allowed me to bleed your ear.
No, you're all good, dude. I'm happy to hear from you, and I'm glad everything's going well. I look forward to hearing more about your adventures going to the Philippines.
They're going to be good. My girlfriend's she's a millennial, but that's even better because I'm older than she is. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down, man. I'm slow, but I ain't that slow. Well, damn, Oliver Russ, man, my man. Thank you for coming on and making me laugh a little bit and sharing some of your stories, man.
Well, hey, I'm glad to see your audience. I'm glad to see your channel like really get some good traction and everything. And I'm going to have
it's only up from here, man. Hopefully.
Well, I got one friend from the Marine Corps. She retired as a CWO3. We were sergeants together, and she lives in Florida. And I turned her on to your channel. She's just on her way back from Portugal, doing cruises or whatever.
Oh, okay. Living that retired life.
Yeah, and she's got 100% disability. CWO3 with 100% disability. Just can I come over and paint your house? something.
Oh man. Yeah. It's, that, if you get it and you earn it and it's all done correctly, then yes, the life after the military can be very good.
I got 50%, but I still think it comes down to the VSO. What
Yeah.
VSO do you have? Because there's good ones and there's other ones that are just, they grew up with a one knob etch a sketch. That's it.
Oh man, the one knob, and it's not the vertical one; it's the horizontal one. So you got to choose
Right.
wisely.
Or Rock'em Sock'em Robots with one of them
With
had a broken arm.
Oh man, well, man, I truly appreciate you coming on, man. It was great talking to you, and you're more than welcome to come on another time, man.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yeah,
you
man.
have a good time. Have a
Hey, you
good
as
day,
well, man.
sir.
Thank you. You too, man. That was my man Oliver Rust, man. Hold on a second. Let me open up some of these shades here so I'm not going crazy. Yeah, my man Oliver Rust sharing a little bit of his story. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Let me see. Tony Slaughter, welcome again. He says that his favorite name is Dirk Diggler. Dirk Diggler. The isn't that Mark Wahlberg when he was that stripper or something like that? Isn't that movie? Dirk Diggler. I forgot the name of the movie. Let's see. 660 Love. Tony Slaughter. Filipino laundry ladies in Iraq. I don't remember that. I guess I never saw them in Iraq. I don't know. So it's those who deployed, do you all still keep in contact with your deployment buddies, your deployment friends? I wonder. I have a WhatsApp myself that I keep in contact with these folks through, because a lot of them are living through a lot around the country. So, or even out of the country. So it's a good way to keep in contact with them through WhatsApp. Tony Slaughter, man, I don't know anything about that dude. But thank you for sharing. I'm just reading some of the comments I'm getting on these videos. Folks who are leaving comments on the videos, I truly appreciate it. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for sharing your perspectives on it. As I mention often, I'm open to a lot of perspectives when it comes to the stuff that I post, when it comes to anything really. Like if you have a differing opinion, please put it in there. I'm open to hearing what your opinion is. Actually, I welcome it because it opens up my train of thought. That's how we as people and even as leaders grow. If we understand different perspectives, different ways of thinking. So I'm putting together, I'm glad to say that I'm putting together some stuff for my potentially final project coming up. It's not going to be until next year, right? But for this master's program that I'm doing through the VRNE, thanks to the VRNE and to my VSO for that, for helping me get approved and all that stuff for a master's program in behavioral psychology. But I will be putting out a post and then putting potentially something on Google Docs or Google Forms for anybody who wants to be a part of my research project. So I'm forming the thesis now, the capstone project. And the capstone will be something to the effect of the mentality of military to civilian people or veterans. So I'm still forming it. I don't know exactly how I'm going to attack this thing yet, but it's going to be something like that. So I'll come up with some questions. I'll put it out a post, and you'll have a chance to comment and be a part of the research project. And essentially, you will be a source, a reference that I'm using for the project. And I will have to reference our talk as well, because whoever I choose there, it'll be several people. I will probably do a one-on-one, maybe a Zoom call or something like that, and talk to you about your experience, talk to you about your time and all that. So excited about it. More to come on it. We'll see how it goes. Peace and Healing 88. While looking at the audio quality on the part of the video I'm in, sorry about that. It was outdoors. No, don't worry about it, man. You got your message across. We had a good conversation. I'm okay with that. We could have had no audio, just staring at each other, and it would have been cool, man. Trust me. Tony Slaughter, Vic, my C files came through. So I'm going to see my VSO and arrange everything. My man, congratulations. I know you mentioned that a while back. Congratulations. That's awesome. That's awesome. I did see your email. I'm bombarded with a bunch of stuff going on. I still have a bunch of emails I need to respond to between work and school and YouTube and the other YouTube, military retirement podcast. I'm trying to catch up, man. So, but it's fun. It kind of keeps the day going. It's a good rhythm. But yes, congratulations, Tony Slaughter. I appreciate that. Yeah, definitely don't go with claim sharks, man. If you can opt into a VSO, go with somebody who's accredited, not somebody like a claim shark. I was just messing with some shorts, not like the clothing, but like the YouTube shorts that I'll be posting up. And the story goes that as I was leaving the service, as I was about to retire from the military, from the Marine Corps, somebody on LinkedIn reached out to me and asked if I could use the services of essentially a VSO, right? I didn't really understand what everything was at the time. I was like, oh yeah, I want to do this. So I ended up, as a scenario, I put it out there. I'm like, hey, look, if I'm rated 50%, how much would it cost me to get to 100% VA disability? And essentially they said, oh, 50 to 100%. Oh, it'll cost you about $17,300. And I'm thinking, like, how could these people already guarantee that 100%? Like, they haven't even seen my file yet. They don't know what I rate and all that. So it was a whole conversation. I have an email chain on all that stuff. So 17 grand, crazy. Yeah. There's a lot of organizations like that, like Wounded Warrior Project. Yes. DAV, VFW, was American Legion. I don't know if the USO is one of them. I mean, you can just Google it. There's a whole lot of accredited VSOs, but that's the key word is accredited. So other ones, I don't know if they're accredited or not. I don't. I've already got my VA disability rating. I'm not seeking anything further. I'm fine with what I got. I'm content with it. I've learned to live with that. So it is what it is. So yeah, we're streaming on the Green Logbook and Military Retirement Podcast. We started off with having a gentleman, the executive vice president of American Fidelity Life Insurance, one of our sponsors of the channel. He jumped on and he wanted to talk a little bit about insurance, about life insurance, and how important that is for folks who are leaving the service and even after you left the service. So very good information. A lot of stuff that I didn't know, a lot of stuff that kind of opened my eyes. Something I wish I would have done earlier in my life was get life insurance. And, I got it at the end of the day, I got it. But if I would have gotten it earlier in life, like while I was still in the military, it would have been significantly less expensive. So that was the topic of the day, was what I wish I would have done and how I would protect my family in the future. 100% amazing that only field I can think of is veteran claim sharks that have no criminal penalties. Huh. You imagine a non-lawyer practicing law and not getting a heat. Yeah, I can imagine that. I call them barracks lawyers, right? I've gone through my share of that stuff. I've worked military justice in the Marine Corps, and I know a lot of folks who, hey, say this, do that. Hey, you can't give legal advice. You can give technical advice if you are in that field, but not legal advice. Or even a doctor. Yes, a doctor. Can you practice medicine without a medical license or a degree? Potentially. Should you? Legally? No. So, yes, one of my top priorities when I was leaving the military was taking care of my family, making sure that they're okay, making sure that if anything should happen to me, that they are covered. During really all of our time in the military, we had SGLI, Service Members Group Life Insurance. And that covered you for, if you were in years ago, $400,000 in the event that something should happen to you, like you pass away. Later on, I think it was after 2018 or so, they upped it to $500,000. And then you leave the service, and then what happens? That either that goes away, or you can roll it over into something else, or you find your other life insurance. The point is making sure that your family's covered. You know, when you pass away, when I pass away, things are going to be, bills are still going to have to get paid. The mortgage potentially is going to still have to get paid. How do I take care of my family even after I'm gone? So that was my thought. Life insurance. That's why I linked up with American Fidelity Life Insurance, amfilife.com. And, they're doing good things, and they have military lineage. So I'm happy about that. Aside from that, I am going to be putting out more videos this week and into the weekend on things that I'm reading, like comments that I'm reading from vets, from folks who have these questions on Facebook and Reddit, and very interesting stuff. And I'm helping to do the research on this stuff, but I also want to put it out there for the masses. I mean, anybody can go on Reddit, so it's all public, right? I'm not sharing anything that's private, but these are things that I think are necessary to know. So I look forward to making more videos on this stuff and putting some questions out there for the masses. I'll give you a little preview of what I'm looking at here. Where are we? We're looking at a scenario about a veteran couple and dealing with depression. I'll be commenting on that and sharing that on the channel. Let me see. Looking at a comment on mentorship after retirement with their new job. A comment on civilian life now after leaving the service. A comment on trying to understand VA benefits. So there's a whole lot, and I look forward to putting out some good information for the masses, things that I'm curious about that maybe other people are curious about as well. So hopefully it works out for you all. So with that, my eyes are starting to bleed. And unless anybody has any other questions, Tony Slaughter, I don't know what is this that I'm looking at? MDL 2873. What does that mean? I'm not exactly sure. If you can elaborate. I'm informed Ray was inclusion. Yeah. Okay. The federal suit. Okay, gotcha. This Sunday, I will be on the Military Retirement Podcast. I mean, I'm already streaming to there, but my co-host and I will be together again doing the Military Retirement Podcast. So looking forward to that. Reaching out to a few guests for the channel. I actually got a response just now from somebody. So high level dude, we'll see how that goes. We'll high speed, low drag type of stuff. Looking forward to getting some folks on here, some guests. So with that, hey, I'm going to go get some chow. I love what we're doing here. I love the audience here. Peace and healing. Welcome, Tony Slaughter. Good to have you. Who else we got here? 66T Love. Good to have you. Jason Miyamoto. Awesome having you. Mo Perspective. Thank you for jumping on as well. Miguel Cisneros. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oliver Rust, my man. Love yourself. Great to have you. OT. Great having you. I think there's a few other folks I'm missing, but great to have you all. This has been the Green Logbook.